Hey guys, this is Mark, and I got an interesting question. It was a very simple question, but it was somewhat profound. The question, in essence, was what is the main problem in the case where the autistic husband just simply cannot connect with his wife? That seems like a very just general question, right? And I thought, gosh, he was wanting to know the number one problem, and I had to think for a minute because there's so many issues, right? We have the mind blindness, we have alexithymia, we have executive function deficits, we have anxiety, we have sensory sensitivities. And she would complain that she doesn't get emotional reciprocity, give and take in conversation, affection, sex, understanding, and so on. So the list is long and deep of the problems, but if I had to come up with the number one thing, and that's the whole point of this video, what's the number one thing to be thinking about? And by the way, this video is for the autistic husbands out there. If you're wanting to know what should I pay attention to most, not that there's just one thing, but what's paramount? What's at the top of the list? Let's say a top 10 list. What's number one spot? It would be this. You're not being present in the moment with her. You're distracted. Your mind is elsewhere. And sometimes you're off in fantasy land while she's talking to you. And so when you are distracted and your mind is elsewhere, maybe she's talking to you and you're even looking at your phone, that's disconnection. And even if you are faking a connection, you're pretending that you're listening and being attentive, she's going to know that, no, he's really not being attentive. Probably the most insulting thing any of us can do is to silently, chronically ignore people that are trying to connect. And your your NT wife has probably tried to connect with you in conversation and convey feelings and opinions and perspectives and wants and needs. And you're there physically, but mentally you're gone, aren't you? In most cases, you're not mentally available or emotionally available. So that's what would be at the top of the list. When your NT wife is trying to connect with you, you're elsewhere, mentally and emotionally. So we have three things, right? You can connect physically, you can connect mentally, you can connect emotionally, and you're only achieving 33% of the equation. You just happen to be in the same room with her. Not cutting it, guys. It's not cutting it. You need to not only be in the same room with her, you need to be next to her. You need to be paying attention. Put your digital device away. Look in her direction. Listen attentively and connect with her I'm going to go ahead and say it, hyper-focus on what she's saying. You're good at hyper-focusing on your special interests. So why don't you muster up some discipline? This is possible, to muster up some discipline and willpower and begin to practice hyper-focusing on my wife when she's telling me something that she views that is important to her. So, moral to the story, guys. Probably at the top of the list of the problems that you're having as an autistic husband is when she's trying to connect, you're not present. You're mentally and emotionally unavailable. And it's possible to turn that around. You'll have to practice. And then it'll become the new habit. The old habit was, yeah, she's over here talking somewhere, and I'm kind of looking at her, and I'm somewhat hearing it, but my mind is elsewhere. That's the old habit. The new habit is, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to look in her direction. I'm going to hyper-focus on what she is saying, and I'm going to do my damnedest to understand her perspective. So that's your assignment, guys. Do it.